I'm involved in the 50-50 group in the European Parliament, and that's a group which promotes women's participation in politics. And indeed, I'm involved with very many groups in Ireland, again, promoting women's participation in politics and in public life. Groups in Donegal, in Longford, in Sligo, in Leitrim, and indeed in other counties as well. And there's been a lot of talk recently about women in politics and why we need more women in politics and in public life. But my perspective on women in decision-making roles is this, that it's not that I think women make better politicians, or indeed that I think they make better decisions, but I think they often make different decisions. And that's what we're missing in Irish politics and in overall decision-making. We're missing that balance. Men and women often think in different ways and they have different perspectives. And when you rely on just one perspective or one way of thinking, you miss the balance that's needed to give you good outcomes. And I always remember about 5 or 6 years ago launching a study with Mark Durkan, who was then the leader of the SDLP. And the name of this study was Other Borders. And women all along the border, from Louth to Donegal and in counties in Northern Ireland, over 3,000 ordinary women were asked what their priorities were. And along with things like elder care and preschool education and rural transport and all of those issues, overarching all of those issues, the 3,000 women said very clearly, we need more women in decision-making at all levels, not just at the top level, but at all levels of decision-making. And I remember at the time being hugely impressed by that, because I thought, you know, those women are wiser than lots of others and lots of people who talk about feminism and talk about women in politics, because they understand that it's not just about decisions at the top level, it's about decisions at every level. And that's why I believe we need more women in public life and in decision making. And I have been very actively involved. I've brought groups out to the European Parliament to meet female commissioners, to exchange views and hear what's happening in other countries. And I have tried to encourage women in particular, wherever I can, to get involved, because what we need is we need a critical mass. And once we have that, then it'll be normal. It will be ordinary for women to be involved. And one of the pieces of legislation that I strongly supported here in the Parliament was that we would have gender quotas on the boards of publicly listed companies by 2020, that 1/3 of the directors would have to be either male or female. In other words, that we would have some sort of gender equality on these boards. And I suppose it's worth my while saying that before I was elected to politics, if somebody had asked me, did I believe in quotas, I'd probably have said no. And my reaction at that time would have been, well, you know, if a woman is good enough, she'll make it. But believe it or not, since I've been elected, I've changed my mind entirely, because I've seen that that's actually not true, and that in many cases the system does not allow that to happen. So I think what we need to do now is we need to change the system. We need quotas in place, not forever, not open-ended, maybe for a number of years, perhaps up to 10 years, until, as I said, we get a critical mass. And then it becomes ordinary, it becomes everyday, and we don't pay attention to it anymore. And then I think we will have a better balance in decision making. And I think that will be good. It'll be good for Ireland, and it'll certainly be good for Europe.